Go ahead then and do the do the introduction text.
All right.
Okay.
In the kingdom of Talengard, many crimes may send you to Brandisgar prison, but the sentence has but one meaning. You're wicked and irredeemable. Each of you received the same greeting when you arrived. You were held down by rough hands and branded upon the arm with a runic F. The mark signifies forsaken, and the painful scar is inedible proof that each of you has betrayed the great eternal love of Mitra and his followers, his chosen mortal vassals. Condemned, you face at best a life of shackles and servitude in the nearby salt mines. Others might await the gentle ministrations of the Inquisition so that co-conspirators may be revealed and confessions extracted. Perhaps some of you will be spared this ordeal. Perhaps instead you will come to Brandisgar to face the final judgment. In 3 days the executioner arrives, and the axe falls or the pyre will be lit. Through fire or steel, your crimes will be answered. You've all been chained together in the same communal cell, dressed in nothing but filthy, tattered rags. Manhandled and mistreated, any finery you once possessed is either ruined or long lost. No special treatment has been given any prisoner, male or female, commoner or noble. All of the Forsaken are bound and imprisoned together. Your feet are secured by iron cuffs tethered to one long chain. Your arms are secured to the wall above by manacles. A guard is posted right outside the cell day and night. Little thought is given to long-term accommodations. At Brandisgar, justice comes swift and sure. Escape seems hopeless. You've all been well searched, and every attempt to conceal anything in your person has failed. And if you could somehow slip your bonds and fly out of the cell, where would you go? Who from your former life would want anything to do with the Forsaken? Despised, alone, and shackled. All you can do now is await your doom. For each of you, your old life is over. For each of you, hope is a fading memory, and for each of you, justice will be fairly meted. And who can blame fair Talengard after what each of you have done? Now we will start with Marcus, and you will describe in short the crime you have committed that sent you to Brandisgar.
In character or just?
No, just describe it.
Oh, well, I'm going to treat this like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Hi, my name's Marcus. I killed a member of the church and preached the word of Asmodeus. Thank you.
I am Kyron Acton. I am from the village called Turbanon, or I was from the village called Turbanon, rather, because I destroyed it and everyone inside.
Hi, my name's Azureus, and while trying to get revenge on my boss and my girlfriend, I may have killed both of them and burnt down a church.
Hi, my name is Cash. I tried to kill an Inquisitor who killed my mentor.
My name is Zacharias Raith. I am a wizard that has sought knowledge a little too eagerly for the minds of the Inquisition. As such, I have been sent here with dinging noises.
Yes. Let's end those at once. Yes. You all, your hands chained to the wall behind you, this wall. All your feet, as said, are chained together with one long chain. And there really isn't food here. There are no bathroom. There's no real concern to you whatsoever. You're gonna die within 3 days anyway, and so there's not really a reason to make this pleasant for you. You are, as said, irredeemable. You have recently come here, manhandled and chained together, and you not really have much chance to converse between you. You have all arrived today in to Brandiskar, and you really weren't allowed to see much on your entry, being either drugged or over the sort of filthy cloth around your head. You look around, and could you each describe your character as he or she would be seen by the others in the cell at the moment, dressed in these filthy rags?
Sure. Zacharias Raith is a man. He looks to be in his mid-30s. He has a, a beard and a mustache and long, dark hair. He's all very dirty and like he has like signs of struggle upon him, like he has been in a fight quite recently, like some dried up blood and muck and dirt, and the dark long hair sort of hangs a lot in front of his face as he sort of sits with his legs up in front of him and his head sort of resting between the legs, almost like he is hunched over. He hasn't moved much. He hasn't said much. It seems like he is, spending a lot of time either sleeping or maybe just thinking.
All right. Cash looks very beaten herself, and not. She's quite covered in mud and looks like she's been through a lot, and she's not very responsive. It looks like she is gone, dropped, and has quite been beaten up too.
I have a question for Cash. Is she? Does she look like a normal elf?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. So the bluish dark skin is not actually something she has.
She does have that.
Okay. So she's a dark skinned elf.
Yes.
All right. A drow.
Yeah.
All right.
And she looks like she's around 135.
Okay.
But she looks like it's not really. You won't be able to get in contact with her at the moment. She's very. Her head is hanging. She's just like a rag doll.
Okay.
Azureus is just mainly whatever position he's stuck in with almost like a fiery anger in his eyes, almost like he's seeking to find something right now, but of course cannot move. His long brown hair reaching down his neck. His arms and hands are severely burned, and his skin is in parts of quite darker toned.
Okay. Although there are definite signs of struggle and general uncomfortableness on Chiron, he seems to be quite awake and sitting there or hanging on the wall rather with a certain kind of dignity that almost borders on arrogance considering the situation he is in. He looks as if he wanted to be here for some reason. Not or rather that he decided he would like to be here, that instead of being thrown into prison like criminals are usually. He seems to be not as away and lost in thought as the other four prisoners rather, but he seems to be scanning around the prison, maybe looking for a way out, or maybe just trying to entertain himself. You don't quite know.
Marcus is... Well, wow, I just pronounced that really weird. Marcus is tall, muscular, and handsome with blonde hair. He seems to have scars of some sort all along his chest, but they seem to be light, like kind of training scars almost, like maybe a knight would have or something. His hands, especially, are muscular, seeming to be like, you know, how he... man, I don't know what's wrong with English today. It's bad language.
It is, yeah.
You know, kind of, maybe you can tell he's held a weapon a lot in his past. But he looks kind of sullen, like he knows that he deserves to be here, but he really wishes he wasn't, probably like most of you. Yeah. That was beautiful.
As you continue to look around the room, you see that most of the other cells are empty. Especially reinforced cell, right here, seems to hold, however, a very large and ugly individual currently sitting against the wall. Does not appear to be chained to the wall as such, but actually chained sort of to the ground with chains from his feet. He is sort of half sleeping, not really paying much interest to you. He seems to have been here for quite a while. Beyond that, you see a dog and a guard standing, looking at you, observing you by the door. You notice that this guard has been here for quite some time, and you have been under observation constantly.
Is the guard, like, is he's paying attention to us?
Yes.
Alright, he's looking straight at us.
Yes, his eyes are moving a bit sometimes, but mostly, yes, he's looking straight at you.
Okay.
As you sort of sit around here, any of you sort of trying to communicate, or anyway, sort of?
Well, first I have a question. Is it just like the walls are made of stone and like these are iron bars, or?
The walls are made of stone. Those are iron bars.
I assume the ceiling is also like stone.
Yes.
Are we underground? Do we know that?
You don't think so, actually.
Okay.
You remember walking up some stairs.
Hmm.
So you're most likely above ground.
What a design choice.
What are our manacles made out of?
Iron, seemingly.
Iron, of course.
As you sit here, sort of contemplating and looking around your surroundings, maybe a little bit groggy from the whole process of branding, of drugging, and of beating. You hear something from the south door here. You might remember vaguely, some of you, that was the door you came in here through. It is opened, and quickly 6 guards move in to the room. So walking in, taking a look around, they stand here ready. As a man you recognize walk in. You all remember his face. Some of you maybe a little, well, more or less in a larger and or small degree. This, you remember him called Sergeant Blackerly, and he was the man who branded you. You also especially remember this because he was laughing while he did it, seemingly enjoying your anguish as the warm, glowing iron seared these marks into your flesh. Right now he seems a little groggy, as if he is in a stupor.
Like he's drunk?
Yeah, something like that. You can make a sense motive if you wish to identify more, but he seems a little dazed.
Just a question. How do I do that?
There should be one called a skill check.
Yeah, 3 buttons say skill check. It'll be under character sheets.
Character sheet. Oh, okay.
And you pick the skill.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
At the sound of the door opening, Zacharias will raise his head and sort of look through the black curtain of his hair and glinting eyes. Now focusing on the development, and maybe the others, see like almost can see sort of the cogs move in his brain, like he's thinking and analyzing what he sees. His eyes are quite cold and calculating.
Azurian just looks up. Possibly, you might notice now there's actually a scar down. You actually notice there's a scar running down his face by one of his eyes. You notice he is looking straight at that guy. And trying to do, well, clearly thinking, but with a lot more anger and passion than Zacharias.
Cash has woken up more and is looking at him very, very, very angry and spits his way.
If looks could kill, that guy would be dead.
Probably. Yeah, I think everyone.
You've got the three of us staring him.
Yeah.
All of us.
You notice that all these prison guards actually have their swords, but they also seem to have beating clubs, clearly used for if a prisoner would be violent and they need a beating. You know that the beatings here would most likely be until you simply pass out in your chains.
So which weapon is drawn at the moment?
They don't have one drawn at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Blindly does not appear to have a beating club. Walks up and unlocks the gate, looking straight at Zacharias.
Zacharias looks back, and sort of a sneer appear in his mouth. So, Sergeant Blackley, is execution coming early?
Looks a little dazed. Silence, scum! You there. He points to one of the guards. Get him unshackled. He looks at all of you. If any of you make trouble, you'll earn a thrashing. Today's your lucky day, scum. You got a visitor. He looks to Zacharias. How you ever warranted such a fine lady is beyond me. She seems to want to say goodbye.
At this, if people close to Zacharias might see him being sort of very still for a moment.
The guard unlocks Zacharias from the chain. Huh? Come now, don't leave her waiting.
Of course not. And Zacharias gets to his feet.
It's black early. The dog beginning to sort of snarl and make quite a lot of noise as Zacharias gets close.
Zacharias would actually, sort of when he walks out here, he would like to take a sort of an ocular view, sort of trying to see the guards, like how, like basically take stock. How well armed do they seem to be? Do they have any, like, are they very alert? Do they seem as groggy as the sergeant?
These guards seem very alert, and they are well armed.
Alright. Also noticing, like, okay, how many keys do they have? Who is carrying the keys? Like, things like that, Zacharias would like to, try to commit to memory as he walks out here.
Sure, make a perception check to sort of keep your eyes on things.
It's not my best skill, but I will try.
The most important skill in the game.
I know. And
you don't have much time to sort of glance these information.
No, that ended up fairly well. I know, it's extremely important. It's not a class skill for me, sadly. But yeah, 19.
Give me a second.
Sure.
And as soon as Zacharias has left, Chiron will address the guard closest to him and say, "A prostitute, eh? I would like one as well, please."
Yeah. Here's just a sort of the guard shakes his head and continues to keep watch.
Can
Yeah, he does take out his club, sort of holding it in a menacing way. Perhaps he is not actually willing to take too much. He doesn't seem to really care for your well-being.
Can Zacharias see anything down the stairs?
No, they sort of they turn.
Okay.
As you enter this smaller room, most likely meant for actual having meetings, Zacharias sees a woman. As soon as he steps in, she exclaims, "Oh, dearest, I'm so relieved you're alive." She turns to Thomas. "Could we please have a moment alone, good sir, for pity's sake?" Like really, sort of, his eyes going blank for a moment, quickly nods and says, "Of course, my lady. It's no problem for you." You can get another sense motive check.
Okay. $19.
You would guess that this woman has somehow controlled this man.
Interesting.
As soon as the guard leaves, the woman's sort of demeanor changes from being one of affection and sort of care, and it changes to a very stern and businesslike face. "Have you forgotten me, dearest?" she asks, sort of smirking.
Zacharias smirks back and his cold blue eyes study her. "I am sure I would never forget such a lovely countenance as yourself, my lady, but I am unsure why I would have the boon of your presence." And he looks around the room. "I don't suppose you are one of the guards, and as far as I know, I didn't leave many weeping women to visit me."
Nods. Women. Interesting. You can call me Theodora. And I come here, not for my own pleasure, but on behalf of a mutual friend who would like to meet you and your cellmates. Unfortunately, our friend is unwilling to visit you in this rather shabby accommodation, so it seems that you must escape. It may never have been done, but there's no real reason you can't be the first. If you manage to escape, please cross the moors on the outskirts of town. On the old moor road, you'll see a manor with a single lantern burning in the second story. There our mutual friend awaits. That is all I know. He wanted me to also give you this." Now she takes off her silken veil, wipes a few fake tears away with it, almost mockingly. "Something for you to remember me with, dearest," she says rather loudly.
Zacharias knows. "Thank you, dear. I will see you in the afterlife. Do not weep for me, and tell the kids I love them."
She sort of nods, and she goes back to a demeanor of almost a perfect picture of grief. "But I can't bear to leave you," she says again loudly, as she moves in to give you a kiss on your cheek.
Alright. Zacharias allows her to kiss, keep up appearance.
The kiss is ice cold, and in some way he gets the feeling that her lips and her skin does not feel human. It feels alien. A knock from outside. "I'm afraid the time's up." Blackley's voice. He must have heard.
Zacharias nods. Don't weep for me. You must go. You must leave this place.
Looks out and waits for you to follow.
He pockets the
Thank you.
veil, by the way.
She says to someone, "Thank you for letting me say goodbye. There's no need to search, my dearest. You're such a good friend for letting me see my dearest one more time." "Such a good friend," Thomas repeats. His voice sounds almost mechanical. He sort of seems to snap out of it and bow politely. "My pleasure." She leaves, and she gives you an eye, as she does. She's escorted away down the stairs. You hear in your mind 3 days sort of echo with her voice. You're sure she didn't say anything. It is followed up by, "Don't disappoint me, dearest."
Yeah, Zacharias' jaw clenches at being called dearest. And watches her leave.
You likely and this guard follow, and they quickly sort of shackle you up again. Although not really thinking about the veil, seemingly.
And as Zacharias enters the jail cell again, Chiron will again address the same guard and say, "Well, that was quick," and motion towards Zacharias.
Cass finds that
Guard,
very funny. Maybe it's because she's drunk.
Guard looks at Chiron and says, "One more word out of you and you get a thrashing."
Chiron frowns.
He sort of raises an eyebrow.
Cass
Any
looks
more,
at
smart mouth?
Cass looks at him. Give him a break. This is our last day, maybe.
Goes for you too. Anyone says anything, if I hear a single sound from here, I will break you. You don't need your fingers where you're going.
While we were saying that, it looks like Azureus just before was about to say something, but then he just like stops.
That's
Just kind of looks annoyed.
See that Black Lily turns. There's the guard following him. Two that's left. Looking around here.
So there's no guards in here anymore?
Seemingly not for maybe a little while.
All right. How much movement does Zacharias have in the chains? Can I like move into the corner here, or am I stuck against the wall?
You have a slight movement. I would say you can sort of pull yourself a little bit for here, but your hands are sort of chained to the wall itself.
Okay. Well,
You could potentially cooperate with the person that is closest to you.
well, it doesn't really matter.
Make a giant conga line.
Zacharias will fish out the veil and inspect it closely.
As he inspects the veil, he sees that... Well, let me show you.
Ooh. Picture time.
This is a bad idea.
Are you sure?
Oh, jeez.
This is the veil.
Interesting.
It seems to have these different symbols on it.
Puzzle time.
Is it magical in nature?
Sort of looking over it, yes, it would appear to be sort of shimmering in an interesting way. Really not the most discreet.
Is it good aligned?
No, it's not good aligned.
Good.
Yes, though, have looked at this, and it seems to be sort of a rather interesting piece of equipment. It seems to be a veil of. Let's see here. What exactly it's called? A veil of useful items.
Oh,
Mm.
well now, what kind of items?
Items engraved there, I'm guessing.
Well,
It appears so, yes. Sort of studying it for a little while. A little while, of course, would be quite some time. You find that out of it you could potentially drag out perhaps 2 daggers, a lit bullseye lantern,
wait, hold on,
maybe
please. I need to write this down. 2 daggers.
lit bullseye lantern,
Yep.
maybe about a 50-foot coil of hempen rope,
Yep.
a sack of spell components,
Ooh.
what seems to be a set of tools, thieves' tools, and masterwork quality.
Yep.
A potion of cure light wounds.
Yep.
100 gold pieces.
Wow.
An unholy symbol of Asmodeus.
Oh my.
And a window.
A
What?
window?
A window.
You could drag a window out.
Apparently, as he studies this, the window could be placed on any sort of thin surface. Simply by pulling out the wooden frame and placing that on the surface, a window will appear.
Huh.
So that
Is it reusable?
Once you take an item from the veil, it cannot be put back in, and it is limited. The veil will never regain that item.
Okay.
so we need to win that window because that's kind of one of the most useful things I think in there.
Alright, so fiddling around with the veil, Zacharias, the rest of the group see him study it quite closely and like mumble to himself as his fingers sort of trace over the symbols of the veil, and he nods to himself, and you see a sort of a gleam in his eyes and a cold smile spreading across his lips as he turns to the rest of the group. We haven't really been introduced, I suppose. My name is Zacharias Raith, and judging from you being in the same cell as me, I would guess that most of you are enemies of the state or some such.
By the fact I'm being burnt in, well, however long, that'd be correct.
You hear hammering on the door down here. Silence! Be quiet in there.
Zacharias will lower his voice from now on.
I guess Azureus will also lower his voice. My name is Azureus. It's nice to meet you. Under whatever circumstances we're in.
Smirk. Okay. Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it?
Kesh looks at. How do you say your name again, Jonas?
Zacharias.
Zacharias. My name is Kesh.
Ah, yes, a dark elf. How exotic. And he smiles.
Kesh smiles back.
I imagined you were condemned for your dark skin, or did you actually commit any crimes?
Kesh smiles. Well, I do have a way with poison.
Zacharias smiles back. That is excellent news, I think. Looking over to the other two.
Kyron looks back at Zacharias. You seem like you have a plan of sorts. I don't intend to stay in here, so why don't you tell us what you have in mind?
Yes, do tell.
I don't think any of us have a plan to stay here.
Yes, indeed. I think I have some sort of plan, yes. He smiles. It would be quite dangerous, of course, and if you would to work with me in this, well, would we be caught? He shrugs. I'm guessing we would be either burned right then and there, or at least beaten to quite severely. But at this point, do we have anything to lose?
Exactly.
Oh no.
I'm guessing most of us will be executed soon. So, what's the worst that could happen? Do it sooner.
Zacharias smiles. Yes, exactly. Now
I
then,
would suggest first, before you continue, to keep it low so that Big and Ugly over there, and he kind of points to the big guy in the fire style, doesn't hear us. He looks like trouble. Even more trouble than any of us could be. I mean, they put us together, right?
they did. I wonder if he's violent. And sort of Zacharias glances over to the ogre? Half ogre? I don't know what that is.
At the moment, yes, it looks like an ogre, and he's sort of sitting up the wall. At the moment, not really saying anything.
Is it like looking at us? Is he listening to us?
He doesn't. You would speaking low voices. You don't think he would hear you, but he is sort of looking at you.
Right. So Zacharias will nod very well. Then
There's. It should be said there's a small window here, but apparently there's coming light in. It is clearly midday. So
where? Can you point again?
over here. So,
Okay.
Sort of a tiny arrow slit.
Okay. Well, let me then explain what happened. And I was not really greeted by a widow or some other mourning woman.
At this point, Kyron will interrupt Zacharias and say, so it was a prostitute.
Zacharias sort of blinks for a second and then he sort of smirks. Yes, now I understand the remark. Very clever. No, I think she was something else entirely. I'm thinking she was not human at all. However, that is not important right now. What is important is what she told me. And she told me that we have a friend that wishes to at least see me, but I imagine he sort of motions to the rest of the group.
It was stated that it was you and your fellow cellmates.
Exactly. But I imagine she also are interested in you. Hence, she has, he sort of motions to the guards. Somehow she managed to put the chief of the guards under her spell and allow us to talk undisturbed. And she gave me something that might actually facilitate our escape from this place. And he sort of produces the veil to show the rest of the group.
Normally, I'd ask if we could trust this person, but we don't have a choice.
No, I don't think we do. This item is magically enchanted to produce certain items for us if needed. I have studied it, and I know the command words to produce these items, and with them we might just have a way of escaping. 2 daggers, a little lantern, rope, spell components, and he looks over the rest of the group, which, if no one objects, I will take care of. Thieves' masterwork tools.
Yeah, Azureus' eyes kind of just look a bit interested at those.
A potion of cure light wounds, if that is, the factory name of it. I don't know. It's a healing potion. Some gold and some gold pieces, and lastly, not lastly, a magical window, which Zacharias quickly explains you can put up on a wall and actually get a window out.
So
And
building a window from a veil.
yes,
This is probably the strangest thing I've ever heard of.
Zacharias smiles. Well, as a long time pertainer of the arcane arts, it's intriguing how this item came to be. However, it can also produce an unholy symbol of Asmodeus, if anyone feels like leaving their fate up to some divine patron, I suppose. And his face will kind of twist at this last thing, revealing what himself personally seems to think about divine patrons.
Well, as he mentions the symbol, you see Marcus kind of begin to stare at him with determined fire in his eyes. Determined? Determined.
Determined. So, given these items my partners in crime, I propose an alliance between us. We would need to work together to get out of here, no doubt. I don't think I can do it myself. And many of these things are useless to me, but perhaps useful to you.
One more chance to experience the outside. I'm in.
Cash looks and says, "Me too."
Well, I suppose only a fool would not accept allies in a situation like this.
Marcus
I
nods.
said be quiet, you. You have nothing to talk about. So close your mouth, I'll close it for you. One more sound, and you're not gonna like it.
Zacharias nods. Apparently the doors are very thin.
Bode well or bad is the question.
We have 3 days until execution.
3 days for us to find a way out of these shackles, and out of this room.
He nods, yes. It looks like it's day outside at the moment. Manaki, have we gotten any food ever here?
Doesn't appear so.
Okay. We are condemned, and I don't actually think they will pay too much attention to us. As long as they think we're locked up in here, they would be content to see us rot, I think. It gives us some leeway to actually move about here if we are careful. He looks down at his irons. But how dark, if it's only one sort of small window in here, how dark is it here, actually?
It is very dim.
Okay. So say that if the manacles were unlocked and you just sat down and sort of hastily just placed them, over your ankles or whatever.
You would guess that the guard would have a hard time sort of seeing it unless he came closer.
Right. Okay. Yes, Zacharias nods. I think we can actually... Well, the first order of business to me seems to be try to get free of the bonds.
If any of us can get out of the bonds, the rest of us should be able to get out.
Does anyone know anything about lockpicking?
Cash smiles. Know anything? I know a lot of it.
That makes 2 of us.
Excellent. Well then, now this needs to be done quite quietly, I'm afraid, but allow me, and he sort of picks up the veil and mumbles the incantations to produce the Masterwork Thieves tools, and hands them to the person closest, which is Cash.
Okay. Do I have to use any kind of acrobatic to use them to open my...
To open your own, or simply operating them while shackled, you would take a -2 penalty. The Masterwork tools, however, give +2, so that is medicated.
Cool.
Actually, looking at them with some knowledge, these actually seem to be old locks. These manacles don't seem to have been updated or newly bought for a long time.
Convenient.
So disable